everybody, Edo here, and this is 5 Paths. The good folks at Loomlight sent along this copy, and I guess it kickstarted in March and is heading to retail. I didn't preview the Kickstarter, but they've seen some of the videos and asked if I wanted to check it out, read the rules, said it would be cool, let's do it. So 5 Paths is a 2-player abstract strategy game. You know, this game has that sort of indie publisher Kickstarter vibe, sort of interesting, but in the same way also that kind of thing where it's like somebody was playing checkers or chess and backgammon and maybe Chinese checkers and was like, oh, hey, wouldn't this be cool, like, if we started adding super abilities to the units and like change things up. So it's got that sort of familiar plus changing with powers vibe to it. I don't mind that at all. I actually think this game's compelling. Like, I think it's got some interesting, good things going on with it. But it's got that sort of underpinning feel, but that also makes it familiar. The other thing I'll note, and I'll talk about in a second, is it uses dice, which is interesting for a sort of abstract strategy game. And I guess that's sort of maybe where the backgammon-y feel comes from it. But the thing with the dice is, like, not everyone who likes abstract strategy games like that. So if you don't like, you know, games with dice and some rolling and some of that chance, this game's probably not for you. I think it makes it sort of fast and dynamic, and I don't mind that type of play, and it's one of the reasons I enjoyed it. But so what's going on here? Each player has 10 units that are of 5 classes or 5 types. I'll talk about that in a second. So there's black and there's white, and we're head-to-head on the board. We're going to pick 5 units of our choosing and put them out, and the other player will do that as well and drop them on the floor, all that fun stuff. And so, okay, and so we set up to start, and the objective here is to capture 5 units of your opponent's units. You're going to mostly do that by landing on top of it, though there's some different units work in different ways, but basically when you capture, you move it out of the game, it's done, you do 5, you've won. There's like a sub-rule where like you can be in a position where a unit can't be used or declared or chosen, and like a player can't choose any unit to use because of how the game played out, they would also lose. That's less common, but it happens. And so we are now going to take turns. You flip a coin to see who goes first. And basically the way it works is you're going to roll dice. It's going to give you movement points. You can move in a straight line unless you hit a corner. And I sort of think of it like a fork, but when you hit the corner, you get to choose left or right. So it's like straight until you hit like a choice, and then you get to choose it. You can't just make a left arbitrarily, so you have to sort of zigzag around. And then really it comes out of, like, otherwise it's like, oh, I roll dice, move, and capture. That doesn't seem that dynamic. And it comes out from the play between the different units and their abilities. So let's talk about it quickly. So I have this just so I remember their names. And so there's the green guy, the Gale. This big mover, roll both dice, move all that distance. And they can also go on the rooftop. When you go on the rooftop, the Gale is the only character that can do that. A Gale can capture a Gale on the rooftop, but no one else can. And they can just, move in a different way than other folks. So they zip around, maybe they're a little bit like scouts, have a lot of movement. Cool. Standard capture. That's them. Then you have the Torrent, who, and there's like a male and a female on the 2 different versions, but these are the like teal. You're not going to necessarily see it, but there's like this water area, and they can actually move through water. So they're not safe like the Gale, but they, they can move in a different way. Here's where it gets a little interesting. You're going to roll both dice. You always roll both dice. Well, okay, you almost always. But you're going to roll the dice, and you get to pick one or the other for the Torrent, and so they can't move as far. But if you capture another unit, you then get to use the other die. So there's this like sort of like dual movement action that they can do. And there's like some interesting decisions there, and that's the Torrent, basically. And I mentioned that. Okay, so then there's the Arc. The Arc is the darker blue or purple, and this is like the lightning dude or gal, depending on which one. But basically, this unit, you roll twice. Your first movement is your movement, and then you've got a lightning bolt. The lightning bolt has to be straight, sort of vision shot, and you can capture or kill or whatever another unit without going up next to it, so you can shoot it. Very useful versus other units, and so it's sort of like shorter movement and an attack. So you're going to position around that, right? And one of the things that I think is important about this, as you play it more and more, a lot of times the Gales are just flying through and just sort of capturing. You start learning that you need to sort of move your units in concert, and that adds to the interesting of play. So those are like the attack units, so to speak. Then you have what's this guy called? The Flash. So he's interesting because, or she, always and only moves 3. I mean, you can move less than 3, I believe, but you have to move the full distance. It's 3 always. But you don't roll dice. This is the one. The thing is, once they are sat, they have like a flash bomb. These things got names. What's it called? Daze. Where basically anyone who comes within 2 spots of this unit stops instantly, unless you have like a little roll contest, and if they roll higher than you, they get to go. So this unit's really important because it becomes a little zone of protection, not quite of protection, but of like stoppage, and you're going to play your units around it. So that is an interesting play, and that's really the use of these other units starts making things more compelling, so it's not just that capture piece. Okay, last one is it's a little confusing. What's the name of this person? The Kanto. Okay. The way the Kanto works is if you are within 1 of Kanto, you're totally immobilized. You can't move, and you can't be declared. You can't be called to move again. So that's where if you can't declare, thing comes up. And so it's like a big stopper piece. And then the other thing that's like interesting is once a piece is sort of locked, whether it came in or I moved there, I don't capture the normal way. I capture by dragging that piece around and then dragging that piece onto other pieces. There's a lot. This is like what's the new crazy one we're going to make is this one. And so it's interesting. That pulling is important, and this is like in a big trapper sort of sense, but that's how that moves. And then you can actually take another unit through to move, save your person, and break them free from the trance or whatever it is. So I don't, this one, everyone's like, wait, what? How does it? Okay, so that, yeah. It plays quick. It's easy to learn. I think there's a lot of dynamic motions. Sometimes it's sort of like a tit for tat type of thing where it's like, oh, you took mine, I took yours, you took mine, I took yours. I think as you get better, it gets more interesting because you start comboing the abilities. But early on, it might just feel like, oh, well, you got mine. So I think it's interesting. I dig these sort of novel, interesting, light games that I see as not start. I don't want to be rude about it, but this is a design team or group or whoever put this together that's starting to get into design and thinking it through. There are ways this rule book could be cleaner and things like that, but they get it through. It's definitely an indie Kickstarter game, but I dig it. I thought it was cool. So anyway, this is 5 Paths. Hey everybody, Edo here, and thanks for watching Gaming with Edo. Reviews over here on this playlist, League and Insider videos over here on this one. Subscribe, share, all that good stuff. But most importantly, play some great games. Thanks. Bye.